Right, let's be honest, you can't expect to get wet from swimming, spend a few hours sat on a pointy saddle and then finish with a run, all in the same clothing, and not expect to find some areas of friction with that clothing.
Yeah, I mean, if you have experienced this very triathlon specific issue, then you need our video. We're going to be pointing out the vulnerable areas, but most importantly, how to prevent them chafing in the first place.
Starts with the swim. Yes, you can get some rubbing and chafing from the swim itself, but it also acts like a bit of a base in which other chafing can build upon. So yes, the water softens your skin, but throw a sea swim into the mix, you've got that salt water that's absorbed into the suit, onto your skin, that dries out, the suit becomes tougher, harsher material, you've got the salt on your skin, and then you've got those two things rubbing against one another, almost like sandpaper.
I mean, it does sound like we are fighting a losing battle, but we are not. We just need to rewind all the way to before you even get into the swim. Well, first up, it's worth investing in a well-made tri-suit. So you want to look at the fabric, make sure that it's going to be quick drying, that it's soft, and then you want to look at the seams. So check, obviously, how they're finished, whether they're taped or not, but also if they're strategically placed. And then I'd suggest reading reviews and chatting to other athletes to get a bit of an idea of which suits tend to be the better ones. However, you do need to bear in mind that obviously we've all got different body shapes and we move in different ways. So what fits one person might not necessarily fit you, but it gives you a little bit of a guidance. And then when you're actually looking at a suit, you want to focus on the areas where you naturally get a little bit of creasing or ruching and see how it fits there. So I'm talking about armpits and groin in particular. That's basically where your joints bend and where you'll naturally get a little bit more material. So check that it fits well in those parts. The chamois is a very important area, so you want to make sure that it's the right size, obviously, that it's going to fit you, and whether those seams are taped, or even if they're not, doesn't matter, but just where those seams are going to fit in movement in relation to where your legs are going to move and where you're going to sit on the saddle. Another area to look into in your tri-suit is actually the end point, so where it finishes on the arms and the legs. As some suits might look really great with a nice sort of clean cut line that's been laser cut, but sometimes they're finished with something that might be a little bit harsh. And I've actually seen friends find that their arms or their legs can get cut after many hours of even just a very subtle movement, but if that is moving repeatedly on your soft skin, you can end up being cut on that. So that's another point to check out when you're looking at a new suit. The neck area is also really susceptible for a tri-suit, and also so when you need to consider your wetsuit, because naturally when you're swimming, your head is going to be doing a lot of movement repeatedly. So you're obviously turning side to side to breathe. You're also going to be lifting your head up to sight. So that is, if there are any areas that are prone to chafing, that is going to exacerbate them. So when it comes to your wetsuit, you want to make sure that you have done it up correctly. So it's firm enough around the neck area, and the Velcro strap is nicely covered, because that can be an area that catches. So just make sure that you spend time putting it on properly. And that leads me on to fit, both for your wetsuit and your tri-suit. If it's too tight, then it's going to be restrictive and it's going to be pulling across your skin, and that could cause rubs. However, on the other end of the spectrum, if it's too loose, then that could also just be moving more than it needs to, and again, causing rubs. When you're looking to try on a tri-suit, just be aware that when they're dry, they might feel a little bit too tight, but obviously they're designed to get wet for the swim, and also you're going to get sweaty and maybe cool yourself off with water. And you will notice that once you first put it on, you then have a little bit of a swim, and you'll come out of the swim and it'll just feel like it's fitting perfectly if you've got the right fit. So don't be worried if it does feel a little tight when it's dry. I'm not going to go into loads of detail as we've already made a video on this, but for any women watching this video, having the right sports bra for triathlon can be an absolute game changer. So a little bit like a tri-suit, you want to make sure that it's going to be quick drying, that it's a nice material, it's supportive also when wet. So remember that obviously fabric does stretch a little bit, but most importantly that it's not going to rub when it's maybe wet and salty. So we're going to share the link to that one in the description below if you haven't yet seen it. And then another area which is often overlooked but can significantly prevent chafing is your saddle. Obviously that's where you're going to be sat, and if it's too wide or it's tilted at the wrong angle and the pressure isn't evenly distributed, then you're going to get chafing no matter how much lube you use. So before you even start looking at getting the right tri-suit, make sure you've got the correct bike fit.
Well, now for the scintillating topic of lubrication. Yeah, even if you have nailed the fit of your suit, you'll still want to be generous with lube. Now, there are various options out there on the market. I would personally recommend one of the sport-specific versions like Body Glide, so as to not affect or damage your suit or any of the kit that you're wearing. But at a pinch, you can absolutely use petroleum jelly, something like Vaseline or similar. You want to apply this liberally to all the areas that Heather has previously mentioned, such as round the neck in particular, any sort of seams or fold points in your suit, top, bottom of zips, round sports bras, heart rate monitors, and of course, not forgetting the crotch area. Now, if you've never worn one of these tri-suits before, you've got a new tri-suit, you've never done a triathlon before, or maybe you've just erased that memory from your mind around the previous chafing you've had, you may actually want to put the tri-suit on first and just remind yourself where those areas are, and then apply the lube underneath. And once you're at it, you may want to also just pop some lube on your ankles. It's going to help with the removal of the wetsuit, allow that to slip off really quickly. You may also actually want to apply some lube to your toes. Again, any areas that may have affected you in the past. It's particularly important if you're doing maybe a shorter race, planning on not wearing socks. On which note, you may want to just pop some lube in transition, which then you reapply before heading out. Now, this may cost you 30 seconds, but in the long run, may actually save you a lot of time. And then finally, if you have actually still got some existing chafing, areas that haven't quite healed yet, well, you're probably going to want to protect them depending on how severe they are, particularly areas like round the neck where you're going to get that rubbing and chafing from the wetsuit. Now, a good option here is actually using something like KT tape, physio tape, that sticks well and is going to give you that protective layer.
Well, if you already experienced chafing, I am sorry to hear that, but hopefully this will prevent any future chafing. So let us know if you've got any other suggestions that we have missed out, you can share with everyone else in the comment section below. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Give us a like to support the channel. Thanks.